Hello everybody, I gotta do a redo here. That stupid GPS too much. I'm looking for a place to pull over. This is breaking. It's important, shared. I gotta articulate it well without the crap. Actually, I'm gonna pull over right here on a bridge overlooking a massive Great Lake. I gotta do it. It's too important to mess this up. Because it's huge. Huge. A year's worth of work just on this. Never mind the rest of it, but it's so huge. And it's funny, I had to work through it. China delivers, absolutely. Zhang Jun left a pot of flowers this morning, and I hit it. Nobody got it. Nobody would comment on it, but it gave me a full opening on Twitter at the very right time this morning. I plant the letter entirely, all 15 pages, the maximum. I tag every permanent UNSC member and the absolute president of the UNSC right now, Sven Jurgensen, who did not step on that stage, who was slotted for. Woodward out of the UK, she did not step on that stage. Nicolas Rivera from France did not step on that stage. Only Linda Thomas Greenfield did, troubling. Her narrative was all about guns and violence and children and sexual exploitation that way, saying boys don't have a problem. Didn't want to address Canada's issue at all. But the other four, everybody, three of which multiple, and USA has 2 reps, one of which replaced, but she was tagged too. She didn't show. Russia, neither of them showed because they're in talks. Woodward's in talks. Riviera's in talks. That's reality. My letter's there. Canada's in deep shit. And I mean the politicians, not us, the people. For once in Canada's history, Canada's been put on the world stage in front of the entire world for the worst, absolute worst atrocity you can ever be named in. Now China says 4,000. That puts us below 3%, which I think is wrong at this point, but I'm not mad nonetheless. First Nations, we're going to get our investigation. This act alone by Zhang Jun is going to absolutely propel the ICC. Now I'm going to cut Zhang Jun, and it was Zhang Jun, everybody. There are 5 people in this world, when they speak on the world stage, they have full, absolute authority, individually or all 5. And he spoke with full authority of China as a UNSC rep. Hasn't been done for Canada or Indigenous people since 1960 Africa. Russia. I'm shaking. I knew we were going to get one. Linda Thomas Greenfield really disappointed me. I didn't like it at all. I didn't. And I'm not, you know what, USA's USA, but Black Lives Matter has the right to know everything in its entirety. And just so all of you know, I am in touch with Black Lives Matter's president. That's reality too. I stay in touch with every group because I'm a real one. I get out there, I do the work. They got hijacked, you guys. Every group gets hijacked. Canada, we know in this country, every group gets hijacked. Every single one. And the government's great at putting in its plans, its propagandists, to absolutely diffuse anything you present. It's why I'm so strict on my Facebook. I have to be, because I'm not going down. And I won't let radicals left or right that have been bamboozled by the actual NWO, which isn't really left or right. They're absolutely up and down, which they're at the top of absolute pyramid scheme, full autocracy. That is Canada. China hammered it. I'm going to record it for all of you. It's going to stay forever. Canada has a P5 member calling them out in children's genocide. The absolute worst crime in the entire world that no P5 member can turn away, which means the judge, juries, and executioners can't say no. So if China wants to see ICC go the distance and there's convictions, China can sentence Canadian politicians absolutely to death. And it would take France, UK, USA, or Russia to veto China. Would a UNSC member veto children's genocide, knowing that children, males, were being raped in the bum until they bled out and they got their heads bashed in if they wouldn't suck a penis from a priest or government official? Would a UNSC rep in front of the entire world, in front of all the black nations they've condemned to death for the exact same crimes for the last 40 years, would they say no? These white men and women politicians of Canada will not see the same sentence that all the blacks were put through. Joe Biden is in some serious trouble. You can't use a black UNSC rep to justify sentencing Africans to death over children's gross genocides and then turning around and saying, no, it's okay for these white, wealthy politicians in the exact same scenario. And our CMP, in your files, in your history, I would recommend now going through that before you get the wise idea of destroying or shredding for the government. The Nazis did this too, and they were tracked down for the rest of their lives. And people understand, if you sympathize with the government, any of these agencies, government workers, you're best off not to do it. And especially in this day and age, and especially with the way people are, people rat. And you know what? The worst of the worst rat out the most. That's reality. Just ask anyone who's been to prison and the situation there with guards and getting people to rat. They do it all the time. Guys that do it, the worst guys rat the most. That's reality. That's reality. And this is the same situation. Cowards commit these kind of crimes. And when cowards are facing absolute justice, and it's likely this is going to go on for many decades, we haven't seen nothing yet. And should the numbers go beyond 4,100, upwards of 52 to 6,000 murdered, missing, counted for now, Indigenous children, you're going to see over 3%. Now we can help the ICC. Karim Khan is going to be extremely comfortable now. He now has the full support of a UNSC Permanent 5 member. It's called out Canada. There's no going back now. I'm proud of the work I've done. It's no different than 1960 to free women in Canada, especially Indigenous women. Absolutely freedom. It was Russia who did that. You can say a communist state. The truth is, Canadians, contrary to popular belief, 14% of the communist principles are pretty good, and some of the greatest rights you had, 14% of them at least, came from communism. 14. Now, of course, America and the United States, 62% of your rights come from there. Another 30% overlap with the United Kingdom, even with all that colonial bullshit. The reality is, that's the truth. Now, we just want to see it enshrined. We want to see Canada change. We're going to see some accountability for politicians. That's a fact. I told you all I said 1 to 5. We got 1. And that's only the beginning, because I promise you right now, Woodward, Sven Jurgensen, absolute president. We got Riviera from France, and we got none other than Russia's 2 permanent reps, one of which I've had very close relations with in the works I've done, have all stepped out on that letter. Look at that, guys. It's only USA right now that's gone forward, and I can't see Joe Biden allowing Linda Thomas-Greenfield to carry on against the Canadian First Nations in her narrative she presented today. Now, she might have to backpedal and say, no, I only meant war conflicts. RCMP are military in Canada, Linda. You read the letter. You were given the letter, as all 5 were. You chose to toss it to the side. Black Lives Matter is going to get it all. And then, just so everybody knows, the Black Lives Matter in Canada, for all those who don't know, especially in the unceded territory, there are populations of the African Indigenous mix, especially the Micmacs. I've been very busy here in Ontario. I met all of them too. They came out to Barrie. I met them too. I kept my mouth shut. Only the internal circle of the party did I disclose. But I have that to go forward with. And now it's a matter of Joe Biden. What are you? Because you said you support blacks. You got all the stuff for blacks. But when it was time to step up, Joe Biden, your rep stepped aside and stepped down and threw them up to the side. Said, oh, we're only talking about African colonialism here. That's wrong, people. That's wrong, and that's not what America is. Linda made a grievous mistake, just as she made a mistake on the day of Pan-Africa Union. She didn't even give them a big shout out. She blew it off. What do we have here? Is it just like the narrative of what the church and Canada's going to try and bring forward with Crown, sworn loyal with the cross, people who were victims of residential school atrocity but snapped and broke and now are fully in love with the church, just like what appears to be Linda Thomas-Greenfield? Are you that house slave, the one that loves the master? Because this is about your 3rd shot here in a row, and continually you throw African Americans to the side, as in they don't matter, and African Indigenous to the side, as in they don't matter. Now, this isn't all of USA. Republicans aren't sharing that. And you know what else? Neither is the Secretary of the UN, who's now Indigenous, that was brought forward. Secretary of State to the UN. She's Indigenous, at least American Indian. She's not having any of this. So we're going to see, everybody. I think Joe Biden's going to have to make some hard decisions here in the next couple of weeks. And America should be on the right side of this. America fought off 5 colonials in this world, united like Pan-Africa's trying to get rid. Yes, they have gross atrocities today, everybody. No different than those who came home from the residential schools. The problems that we see with First Nations from those years and upwards of today. The abuse they inflicted on their own families. And every Canadian says, oh, look at those filthy bum losers, those wagon burn and the racism. And they don't understand these people have been so violated and abused, to the likes of which it belongs on the world stage. This is some slave sick shit that America hasn't even seen for over 160 years. We're talking 25, 30 years ago here, even upwards into the 90s, at least the physical and sexual abuse. We don't even really know the death count. RCMP taking women for rides, men out to freeze out in the Arctic. This has been going on a very, very long time and still going on. And RCMP Everyone knows how you're organized here, and I'm sorry. It's not your fault. It's clown colonial system, but you were built exactly like the Nazi SS and all of it. I'm sorry, it's the same design, same colonial system. And look at the convictions, even upwards of just 4 months ago at 92 years old. They'll find you, they'll get you. They will spare no time, no expense, and there is nowhere to run to. And anyone who tries to help you, should you be involved in an investigation, will suffer the same fate as you. And we don't even just have to look at Nazi Germany. Look at Africa just in the last month and the last 25 years of all entirely, all those colonial nations, all of them. You will see it just goes on and on and on. And those states are trying to come back from that. Canada, we got a mess to clean up here. And it starts with facing the idea that we're a colonial autocracy with serious crown-embedded colonialism. The people need to write this out. We absolutely need federal dismemberment and redesign. If you haven't seen the post I put out yesterday from the United States, a terrific experts that comes forward to give a video, a nice minute and 30 seconds to tell you, look, you hire a dumbbell, you're going to get a dummy government all the way through those years. And you will be exploited, you will be ruined, the people. When you have no constitution, which we don't, we the people, the First Nations, do not exist in our constitution. There are 0 regional constitutions. If anyone watched the entirety of the UNSC today, they went through regionalism. The colonials who were on the UNSC as members, those Caribbean island states, St. Vincent, they told you, I have all the mechanisms and more tools to add to my bag. I go through these things every 2 to 3 times a week sometimes. This one I had to wait an entire year for. Planned it for 6 months after Donald Trump destroyed me at Christmas, or thought he did. Looks like I got the last laugh. Donald Trump, I'm in New York law. I'm in the bar club. I'm not a lawyer, Donald Trump. You've destroyed your lawyers. You have no one to go forward with. No one trusts you anymore. Can't keep your word. But they sure took me in. Giuliani lost his bar, and I'm hanging out with all the entirety of New York bar. Looks like I'm not a rogue regime after all. That's my video. Choose to share. Anyone who doubts me now, I called it. I said 1 to 5, more than likely China. And it was done. If you don't believe me, go on Twitter. He presented his pot of flowers. If you look up what those flowers represent. If you look up Richard Nixon, the work I did with Richard Nixon brought forward. If anyone can get a copy of the Africa-China Symposium, Communist China only invited one Canadian in all of Canada. He wasn't a lawyer. He wasn't anyone special except for a man who wrote a letter for the UNSCP5 and absolutely every academic in the entire world, for every lawyer, every policy maker, for every one of you. I wrote a paper and they really liked it. And I got invited, I participated, and they wrote a paper on top of a section of my paper going into Africa and China as it really is in real history, international law, and as China really was over 4,000 years entirely. And they liked it because it was true. And regardless of our different set of politics, as he clearly states, the reality is this violation happened. International law has been broken. Canada must be punished, specifically the politicians, which absolutely means a world of criminal convictions, ladies and gentlemen. That's coming forward. Not the people of Canada, not the third class, not the taxpayer. Don't listen to any of the parties. I can't see any election being called. I can't see it. Who in their right mind would want to be in charge of governance in Canada right now? Take your lumps, leave it to the Liberals. 2/3 of the time they've been in power. 2/3 of the time they committed the atrocity. Second place is the Conservative. I shouldn't say that. Tied for first place is all the provincial governments as well too. This is a real mess, people. Hundreds of politicians. $9.8 billion, $3.8 billion more than the Canadian government has promised to the Indigenous by all of you, the taxpayers, who had absolutely nothing to do with any of this, like you're never to do with anything of anything. Because again, just like Indigenous, First Nations, whatever you want to use terms, Canadians aren't in the Constitution, neither are the First Peoples. We're all victims of the same bullshit, the same autocracy, the same crown-embedded colonial power, ruled illegal in 1945, and all those nations, tremendous leaders, tremendous powers to execute, sanction, embargo, and send in the blue helmets. Most of them didn't attend today. Why didn't they? Because one, they had to read a letter. Sven stepped out too. It was 41 minutes late live. There were a pile of stand-ins before they could even start live. And why is that? Because they had a real international presentation for the first time ever to look at from none other than Canada, a founding member and builder of their precious UN. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Today I can tell every Canadian the soldiers of World War II are fearless soldiers, sons and daughters of Canada who gave their lives to fight for freedom, did not do it in vain. Today we struck a blow for their souls, the souls of every Canadian, and we stepped up on the world stage and we delivered. We delivered, just average people. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Bye now, everybody.